Hey everybody, welcome to Forge the Narrative. This is our Monday night live hangout. Tonight, I am actually not the one with technical difficulties. As always, there's something going on, so we've got Kenny and Rob Beard chilling with us tonight.
What's up, guys?
Yo, yo. What's up, y'all?
TPM will be here momentarily. There's no doubt in my mind. How's everybody doing tonight?
Just chilling, man. Chilling. I'm a little jealous of Kenny's figure case there. It's way better than mine.
looking fresh back here, huh? Just making sure that is the camera switching around so everyone can see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like you got some. There's Paul
There's TPM himself.
What's up, everybody?
with a fresh fade. What's up, dog?
Only 20 seconds had went by whenever I said I have no doubt in my mind that TPM will be here, and he is here.
Never
It
stop
is.
trying. Never
Man,
stop.
Google's super fussy tonight, man.
It hates us.
I
Can't
feel
stop,
like
can't stop the signal.
that's right. Can't stop, won't stop.
Right?
So appreciate everybody. Already got a bunch of questions out here. Let me give shout outs before we start going deep in it. Scott, Carl, Chris, Lauren, Steve. Appreciate everybody joining in. Brian, Neuro, our boy, Helldrake Hater.
Helldrake Hater.
The Virginia Helldrake hater.
Ed Black. Appreciate it, guys. So you guys want to? We'll start from the top here. Let's figure out. Greetings and salutations from Chris Morgan.
Well, that's crazy because isn't Chris our resident Blood Angel fanatic?
Yes.
Probably so.
So, Paul, guess what Juice and I were talking about before we went live?
What's that?
We were talking about two characters in particular.
Mephisto.
Yep. One finger down. Now there's one finger left.
Probably Dante or.
I'm going Corbula.
Yep.
That was my number 3.
I know my people.
Your people.
We were just going off on it. I was like, there's got to be a way for me to make these guys invincible.
Yeah. I'm in a different angle in my downstairs.
Ooh.
It looks like there's some paint behind those
Yeah,
walls.
some
You
paint,
look like
dog.
You're painting it up, dog.
Man, I'm getting there. It's almost done. It's a
There it
long-
is.
Nice.
Robert says, Kenny B loved the display cases.
Yeah,
Oh.
those are very very nice.
We gotta think about doing MurphCon at my place next year. Or does that defeat the purpose of a MurphCon?
Yeah. Well, anywhere I'm at can be a convention. So.
There you go. Perfect.
Touche. I love it. Our boy Jay Troop is in the house tonight. We missed you last week, Jay.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Got a couple of messages from the Warp. The Facing the Great Tide guys had to miss out this live cast, but they'll check it out on YouTube.
Oh, that's
As
good.
usual, you can check it out on YouTube.
Podcast too for this week. It's just been like technical detail glitch problem after technical problem, but we're there. we make it. We might fudge our deadlines a little bit, but it all gets done.
Did
We're
it?
either getting worse at technology or technology is getting worse at us.
I think we just forgot the right application for the machine spirits and the right chant or something. I don't know.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Lamont, what's going on, everybody?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
it's like Lauren
There's
spread the word.
Titans. There's
for
Titans
the event.
behind Kenny.
Sorry, guys.
Did I miss something? Is Lauren says spread the words for his event going on? No, by all means. Tell us about your tournaments. We're happy to try to get them out as much as possible. We got hit up with a tournament in the UK coming up. Let me see if I can pull it up right now while y'all are entertaining the folks.
Gotcha. Yep, and Lauren, actually, to go in a little bit more here, it's updated 7th edition, 3 rounds, 1750. No Lords of War allowed. Fortifications, Aegis Defense Line, Sky Shield, Landing Pad, Bastion, Fortress of Redemption. Check it out.
That's
Let's talk
awesome.
about that Lords of War in a second. I had an epiphany on the way home. When I called.
This
I
smells
called-
good.
Yeah. Is that Gazgul being a Lord of War fits in the standard combined arms attachment. And
Yeah, so it's like you get an HQ for free almost, right?
well, I mean, you don't get it for free.
Well,
you're
Air Corp was free.
you're basically you're allowed to take him in a Lord of War slot, saving your other 2 HQs for now what are some of the support characters in the orcs. So you could take 2 big mechs or a big mech and a pain boy and still take Gazgul and have
Was that talk we had on your epic car ride home from Atlanta every day?
Yes, that's all. That's the Forge narrative office hours between 4:30 and 6 o'clock.
Sometimes between 4:30 and 7:30, depending on traffic in Atlanta.
Yeah, dude, I've never seen anything like it, and I've driven through DC, I've driven through Long Island, like Atlanta, there's 8 lanes just stopped. It's like what is this?
Almost like not even in his car. Like he's like just walking around, stretching his legs,
just doing laps, you know. Oh man, that's so brutal. I could not do that, dude. More power.
Some of the best conversations are had with Paul during his.
Well, also some of the angriest conversations, like that energy from the traffic. But yeah, that's a great point about that Gazgo. That Gazgo is a staple of the Orc Codex. He's always been one of the truest pimps and the strongest pimp hand. But it's kind of showing you that this is something that's always been competitive, and it's something that's a great force multiplier for the Orcs. He's not more powerful than any other baller HQ, but he is a Lord of War. So you are.
And he is the most powerful Orc there is.
Yeah.
Clearly.
And he is a staple. He's a big staple of the Orc Codex that's kind of ushering in the whole let's not demonize Lords of War, not to demonize our buddy's tournament over here. If you're running a tournament and the only restriction you have is no Lords of War, you're doing better than 99% of people right now as far as restricted tournaments.
No doubt. Actually, speaking of tournaments here, Steve is hit up saying he just ran a TPM tournament style mission on Saturday. Had 14 people show up.
Nice.
Nids took first and second. Chaos Space Marines took third. He said had fun all day.
That's nice, man. Thanks for supporting the missions.
That's great to hear.
So let me talk about this game. Huddersfield Games in the UK having a tournament. They're expecting 40-something people on July 27th. £5 to enter. That seems like a pretty good bargain for that many people.
What's £5 in American? Like $700?
It's probably $36.
Yeah,
that's not true.
Between $30 and $80.
Well, I was just getting ready to say I was going to bring one of the Baconators. It weighs about 5 pounds, so I was hoping that I could get in for a Baconator.
You might be able to. I mean, I don't know.
It just said 5 pounds.
This is why people in other countries make fun of us.
This is going out there to prove.
Well, I ate 3 Baconators today. That's mainly why.
That's like 15 pounds.
Let me tell you, my oldest son, we went to Wendy's. I mean, this has been a couple years ago at this point or whatever, but I got a Baconator. I'm not ashamed to admit it. But they have a son of Baconator. So it's actually a menu item.
Oh, I cannot wait to have a son so we can go to Wendy's and have I can have the Big Daddy Baconator and then the son of the Baconator, and then in 20 years from now we can reminisce on how we had father-son Baconators. That's the American
you're not
dream.
going to be alive for 20 years if you have father-son Baconators.
I'm going to take my youngest son there. We're going to do the same thing. It's going to,
Love it.
Yeah. Proud.
So, Peter hit us up with thought about Gazgul the other day, and how he has a 2++ on the WA turn, so it's a 2-up rerollable, and the new formation lets you WA every turn after the first. So Gazgul can have a 2++ every turn after the first.
Yes, it's a great formation. But unfortunately, it's like one of the things we talked about is it doesn't have objective secure.
Well, also the new formation, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm breaking out right now, but I don't know that it gets a Lord of War.
Yeah, so that's exactly my boy Josh is sitting here, and he just said that does not work together like that because that actual formation does not allow you to have Thraka in it.
Yeah, I mean these things. I think that the Orc detachment and the formations and what they're really good in theory, but I don't like. I have to imagine that one of these are going to get a rider fact. Because it needs one of the better command benefits. Like, the command benefit is now a part of a detachment. And if you don't get those 2 winners, the ideal mission commander or the objective secured, then you need to really consider what this can do for you. How many games you're going to lose just because you don't have objective secured.
Well,
so,
I'm
not saying you can't.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here for a minute.
Shut up, Apoc.
It's 200 models that are scoring.
I'm kidding.
Like,
Yeah, but one model that has objectives.
A land speeder could put in. Yeah, a tank shot, a rhino tank shocking through that mess.
An empty rhino.
Yeah, you're boned. You're literally boned.
Dude, but like even more than that, like a flyer that sets down on the last turn cancels you. It doesn't win you, but it stops you from having it. I mean, like anything in the game, that's the problem. My 7th edition experience is objective secure wins games.
Yeah, let me say, you know, and I know you didn't really mean this, but like, it's not the problem. It's a beautiful thing. It's going to create beautiful, like, opportunities to outplay your opponent. And
the dichotomy is ridiculous.
Yeah, I think it's great. But that's like that is the. Yeah. But that's one of the things you really have to look at with these attachments and these other formations and whatever. It's like, can I beat past that limitation of not having the play away? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, like I've recently kind of like listed off. Yeah, absolutely. So my personal experience, I've listed off a bunch of games moving up to 7th edition where if I had objective secure, I absolutely would have won them. And if you know what I mean, like, but there's more of those instances for sure than the reverse instance. That in my personal experience, I feel like what you're saying is like that sometimes I'm gonna win regardless of objective secure with that horde, but I will absolutely lose games because I don't have objective secure.
Yeah, I agree with both your points. Like they make a lot of sense. Yeah, I mean it's one of those, if you have it, it's good to have it. If not, you need to know that you're playing the whole game that you don't have it. So
yeah,
I think one way or the other you'll be able to compensate and overcome the struggle, especially if because of that formation we got to talk about it. If that's the conversation we're having, is like it can have like nine troop choices, right?
Yeah.
And it can have so I mean it's like that's a lot going on. So you might not even
squandered though. It's squandered because like one of the strongest things in the game is hordes that are objective secure.
Well, you can overwhelm people, I think.
So
go ahead, Jason.
I'm sorry. The only reason why I wanted to show is like that formation is not just in itself. You can still have that's just a fortification or that's just a formation. You can still have a primary detachment CAD that gives you objective secured. So
right, but you're lowering the amount of points you get to spend on those.
Yeah, I was just saying because the fact in that formation you can have 3 HQs. So in a formation and a CAD you can have 5 orc HQs.
That's about what they need, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and actually that was Paul's point on the way home from Atlanta today, was orcs really need the 2 CADs to be effective.
Yeah, and especially I was watching my boy Josh play the other day, and I love the fact that Wazdaka, I call him another name, but my man Wazdaka was playing, and he gives the unit fearless, fearless and rage. Or rampage or something, but like orcs now so now that orcs, the mob rules are a little wishy. I haven't seen it played enough to give everybody full details on it, but I really feel like the mob rule took a negative hit on orcs. But the fact that when you can have independent characters attached to a unit, the mob rule becomes less of a thing.
I think you need to take it one step further. I think you need those independent characters, and I think you need heavy armor. I think that you're going to be taking a lot of hits on yourselves. Even if the independent character lets you stay strong, you're still going to be losing your own models to this rule. I think taking heavy armor might be required, especially if you're using like small units, like you're going to put them in battle wagons, or you want them to out.
And the more the wog banners, the better.
Wog banners.
You mean boss pull, right?
Or ball spell. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, the boss pull is a no-brainer at this point. Like you gotta have that thing. But keep in mind too, there's like some special occurrences here where you can have like mixed armor stuff. Like for instance, the mech guns, right? You could apply those hits to the strength 10 gun or the toughness 7 guns, right? So it's like, who cares? So you just gotta play with it a little bit. I mean, if you get the 1, you don't care, right? The 1 result.
Yeah, the 1. No, that's actually. Yes, that's the you don't.
Yeah, I mean, all we're saying about the mob, the new mob rule is that things can go wrong now, but before nothing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right, I think you want to keep if you plan on having a long fight, you want to have your boys as protected as possible, and heavy armor might be the way to do that.
Absolutely, yeah.
So let's jump into one of these questions here. Steve Ruley's asking, hey, how are you guys handling passengers shooting from or after disembarking a vehicle that has made a jink move? And
I have an interesting. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say this came up in a game, and I couldn't find anything in the rulebook that said the passengers were affected.
Well, here's my take on it. There's a special section in here about disembarking effects on passengers, right? So if you go to shoot, I'll find that in a second. But what I wanted to read was the jink rule. So, and this kind of goes along, I feel, with how you objective secured a true choice in a dedicated transport Rhino, because we talked about that a couple shows ago, where it's considered one unit. Like you can't, like if you're in it, you can't be
I would love to talk about this.
Okay, so if you're in it, like say you have some dudes in a Land Raider, and a Land Raider is just scoring, but the dudes inside are objective secured. You can't be like, okay, the Land Raider is securing this, and the dudes are securing this one that is 3 inches away on the other side.
Read me in the main rule book that stops you from doing that. Because
it considers, from what as far as I can tell from reading it, it considers everything as one unit. The unit.
I have read that passage, but only for dedicated transports. Mm-hmm. So a Land Raider purchased as a heavy support is not that. Mm-hmm. And I would definitely argue that my Land Raider is holding this objective, and if you're catty-cornered between two objectives, my guys aside are holding the other. Like, I can't find anything about non-dedicated transports that would ever stop that from happening. Like, I had a long talk about this the other day with my boy Will, and I cannot come up with language to beat his argument.
Okay.
So, like,
that is really worth checking out in the rulebook, Rob. If you want to start trying to find some passages that reference that, that might be
because that changes everything about the game.
Sure. No, I can see that. So what I wanted to say was about the jink thing, where it says after decisions have been made before any hit rolls have been made, if a unit jinks, all models in a unit with a special rule gain the 4-up cover save until the start of the next movement, but they can only fire snapshots until the end of the next turn. So, as far as I can tell, it's one unit. Dudes inside a Rhino, dudes inside a transport, whatever. It's one unit. So until the end of their next turn, they can only fire snapfire. From what I have been able to ascertain so far between that and the effects of damage on troops, which I'll find here in a second.
Yeah, it's a really loose argument. Like I said, I've spent a long time in that section of the book. The only time it gives you language that makes it seem like they're both one unit is when it says a dedicated transport, like, is purchased together with this unit. And then it goes on to say the dedicated transport is a unit. So, like, it's very confusing in my opinion and very difficult to argue either way, because it does go on that same page referring to the vehicle itself as a unit and then the guys inside as a unit, but the very first line it says they're purchased together or they count as a one unit. So it's really hard to argue either way, but all that language doesn't exist. It's only on the dedicated transport page that any of that language exists.
Yeah, it seems pretty ambiguous.
You go anywhere else in the codex, the rulebook doesn't say that.
Well, Paul, while Rob, while you're looking that up, like, Paul, what do you think about this? Our boy Craig here is thrown up in the questionnaire a little while ago talking about chariots, and I'd like to hit on it because I know how prevalent chariots are right now. So he's saying assaulting chariots with riders. Rules is if one model attacks one another, the whole unit has to attack the same thing. If you are challenged and are accepted, does that mean every other model attacks the rider also instead of the chariot?
Yes.
It's one model. This is a for real thing. It is one model, and you get to choose who the attacks go against, no matter what. So, they can throw on the Lord on top or the chariot itself. If you have dudes have a melted bomb.
What you're saying is the guys have to do the same as the Lord, as the challenger, though. They all have to attack the same unit. So if you're choosing to swing on the guy, then they all have to swing on the guy. Is what I think what the question is.
Yeah, the question is
pertaining
to when he's in a challenge.
Yeah, and then
so
in addition to this, William Bryce is asking, how do we handle the Catacomb Command Barges? Because that's really the chariot that matters the most.
So yeah, that's the one we're talking. But I want to just call it that because that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
That thing
locking down in close combat, but that's what we're kind of talking about is locking down in close combat, and then do all the hits go on the guy. And I think the challenge rules will supersede that. Does that make any sense?
Oh, supersede what? What do we?
We'll supersede the fact that like all the guys can't swing on the one character because he's locked in a challenge.
True. So you say that the guy, you say that if you have 5 guys that melted bombs in a command squad and you're executing a challenge with the dude, they can put their melted bombs on the chariot and he can put his.
Yeah, he's not a valid target for the combat attacks.
So the only person left to challenge. So I guess the question is the chariot and him a single unit or is it separate? Because if it's a single unit,
yeah.
So then the melted bombs cannot attack at all.
Well, in a challenge,
challenge.
No, that's not the case now.
I'm not positive that they're not separate entities because you get to choose where attacks go.
Yeah, no, and go exactly what you guys are saying, Kenny and Paul. Kenny and Rob. It happens with bleed over, but a unit, if 2 independent characters are in a challenge and 1 independent character has troops, the troops cannot assault into the challenge.
No, see, yeah, it's funny because you're like a day behind on all of our talks over here. Like we had like 4 people in this room, and I said exactly what you said, and then I got like basically proven wrong for 4 hours by like Mike McCaffrey, Johnny, Tim, EJ, because I was reading it exactly the way you're reading it, where as long as dudes are alive, wounds will go there first, then bleed over into combat. But there is absolutely no language restricting them from targeting him. They're just not allowed to target him until people are gone. I interpreted it exactly the way you were, and I was the only guy in a room with 10 people who disagreed with it, and I was like, well, 90% of people disagree with me. I will now relent my discussion.
Okay, that's a major change for me as well. I have to check that out.
I got to go with the map.
There's also about.
Sorry, guys, we're talking over.
I know I already have a backlog of.
There's a latency issue that I'm experiencing, which is why I'm talking over you, or not. I'm hearing other people talking over each other.
Yeah, there's an issue.
Well, what were you going to say?
I just wanted to bring up the fact that.
That's great.
I got a little backlog here to look, obviously, so I'm going to do that. But that being said, interesting thing is pertaining to the Catacomb Command Barge, whereas the rules is written according to release and completely destroyed. If you look those up in the index and then read the actual entries in the rule book, there's this unique situation with the Necron Lord dying and then coming back actually not only gives away First Blood, but also every time it happens counts as a victory point. Because whenever something is removed from play, it counts as being completely destroyed. And if something's completely destroyed, it counts as a victory point, as well as First Blood, as well as Slay the Warlord. Even if he gets back up, he was completely removed from the game, and therefore completely destroyed, and gives up all of those,
Yeah, Rob proved
those monikers there.
The other day.
It was a little disparaging.
Cool
he proved this wrong because actually the wording in the rule book said, in a Necron Codex it says when he's died, remove from play. And then when at the end of the phase, when you use your Resurrection Orb, you have a chance to bring him back into play. And when you go to the rule book, it says anytime a model is removed from play, it's completely destroyed for these following purposes. So absolutely, you do get First Blood, Warlord, and a victory point every time you kill a Catacomb Command Barge and it gets back up.
Oh, I like it.
I'm good with that.
And I'm okay with
that. Catacomb Command Barges, I think we shoot them. I think you just want to shoot last cannons.
Last cannons are pretty much the best thing on Earth to shoot them with.
Yeah.
Last cannons hurt.
So,
bunch of rending side cannons.
Yeah, those are good too.
So referring to effects on damages and passengers, Lauren hit us up with on page 82, effects of damage on passengers, crew shaken, immobilized. Passengers must take a leadership test. If the test is passed, blah blah blah. I don't know if there's.
Yeah.
Probably means you should get.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was forced to take a leadership check on my White Scars and a Rhino the other day.
There you go.
See if they snap fire.
Johnny Watkins is asking, are Pain Boys worth it now? Yeah, I can't see why they wouldn't be. Unfortunately, you might run out of. I think you'll run out of slots before you start. That will be the only reason you question whether or not you want to take a Pain Boy for an important unit.
Yeah. Based on the strategy you're trying to deliver on, against your opponent. Like if you're definitely trying to put the hurt on somebody with some smaller elite units, you definitely want to feel no pain on them.
They get access to the Orky whatnots, which gives them things like bikes, sideboard body. I mean, they don't need that, and gift finder, but really in a boss pole. So if you were looking for a place to put a boss pole, or you wanted a backup boss pole, you can put it there on the Pain Boy. Pain Boy is 50 points. I think that's pretty much worth it. That's a bargain as far as like priest go, feel no pain goes.
Yes.
Nowadays, on important units.
Agreed.
I can see that.
What about Stoner Steve over here? Yes. What's the best Lord of War?
Ooh, the Satan.
I was going to say Transcendent Satan is one of my out the gate favorites.
I will also put my hat in with a Hierophant.
Oh, Hierophant's really good too.
For 1,000 points, you get a toughness 9, 2 up armor save, 5 up feel no pain, 6 up inbone, 10 wound monstrous creature that shoots 16 strength 10 shots.
Is it Eternal Warrior?
He is a gargantuan creature, so he can never lose more than D3 wounds at a time.
If he takes an instant death, does he take a D3 wounds?
Yes.
Yep. That's pretty good.
Just like the Transcendent
weapons.
Satan.
Yeah.
D weapons what?
D weapons do the same thing.
I believe D weapons do D6 plus 6. Yeah.
No, they do D6 out of 6.
If you roll a 6, it's only D6 plus. Yeah.
But they always do D3.
Yeah.
Unless you roll. Like I had some tragic D action happen in my Super Friend's face this last weekend, in which a pair of 6s rolled, and the Bear Lord and the Chapter Master were out of here.
Ken was asking, if you put a Wolfguard battle leader with Saga the Hunter in a Storm Raven, does the Raven get outflanked?
Has to be dedicated transport, doesn't it?
I think that's correct, but I don't know for sure. That could be the next thing you look up.
Yeah, I don't think you can start the game in a non-dedicated transport.
You can. You can't start the game in a dedicated transport.
But the problem is that's the Space Wolf saga. Only independent characters get it. So basically, just the guys coming in, and there's heavy restrictions on it in the Space Wolf Codex. Like you can't even be on a bike or a Thunderwolf or anything.
But it probably doesn't cover Allied Transport Storm Raven.
No, but if you go to the main rulebook where it says who can outflank, it says you can outflank.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's why I'm saying let's just check it out while we can move on to something else. Let's bring out the actual rules.
So our boy Brian here needs some help from you guys. He needs to figure out. He's got a buddy who's hosting a 2,500 point 7th edition tournament at his local game store, the Dragon's Horde, and a lot of people are trying to get him to limit the amount of combined arms detachments and psyker levels. Any thoughts on how to argue against that?
You tell them to listen to this podcast. Number one.
I've got a recommendation to just keep your pimp hand strong.
Pretty
there's that too.
About it.
Well, I mean, honestly, I think the only way to really address this is ask people what they're trying to prevent. Like, what are you really realistically trying to prevent? Like, I'm not even sure what people are doing. Because it doesn't affect the top list in the games. You can have an infinite number of combined arms attachments, and you would be still hard pressed in a point limited game to beat some of the more dominant lists straight out of their own codex. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
You're 100% right.
So what are you afraid of? Not you.
Of course,
what are they afraid of?
Everyone who's afraid of something has gotten to their Beats laboratory, plugged it in, and found a couple of ridiculous combos in their opinion that are based on multiple combined attachments. And that's what they're gonna reference. You're gonna ask the question, "What are you afraid of?" Well, I'm afraid of 18 annihilation barges. That, and et cetera, et cetera. So like, okay, well, bring 18 annihilation barges because now you've broken the game. You've discovered what in your opinion is the best list on Earth. So why don't you play it? Because no one has 18 annihilation barges and it's not that good. Like, there's nothing, like you said. Like, but if you think it's the best thing on Earth, bring it. And I'm sure someone at that tournament will be happy to prove you wrong.
And people figure that out. When we first got Double Force Sword as an option for list building, people were terrified of the 6 Cybolt autocannon dreadnoughts.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Terrifying.
Psychotrope grenades.
We never saw, and we never really saw it do anything. Because stuff like people once you build the environment, things can be dominant for a little bit of time, but the good people will figure out how to beat and overcome, bring their own craziness, figure out how to overcome whatever they want to play with.
So Brian actually goes a little bit further in saying, allegedly people are saying that psychic powers and psychic dice will slow down and stall out during the psychic phase to make the game not last or go as many turns.
So basically thinking that people will slow play?
Yes.
That is always a problem, or is a potential problem. I mean, we talk about this all the time. When you enter this, when you're playing this game in a tournament, you really are entering into a social contract with your opponent, and it's your responsibility to not be monopolizing, all the time in the game, doing your best to keep the turns moving. And you have to, and then you do that by, if you've got an army that rolls a lot of dice, know your army in and out, so there's not a lot of downtime, lag time in between things happening to keep the game moving.
Like counting all your dice up, your 16 this, your 24 that. Yeah, time management, Paul, is not a problem isolated to 7th edition.
Yeah, absolutely not. There's always been somebody. It's possible. It's been possible anytime that you have human interaction. But I'm just saying, just as a tournament goer, I mean, one of our focuses is being responsible human beings when it comes down to rolling dice.
Hey, Paul, do you still have the Orc Codex right there next to you?
Yeah.
Does so our boy Johnny here says he haven't had a chance to read it yet. Can Gazgul be nominated as a warlord? And
let me go.
Can he stomp?
Gargantuan creature stomp.
Yeah, he can't do that. That'd
okay,
be
so
really
he cannot.
I mean, he is super strong. He's got Furious Charge and he's Strength Ability or whatever.
He's got 7 strength, 10 attacks. He's on a charge. He's toughness 5, 4 wounds, 2 up, 5 up.
He is an independent character and he's not a vehicle. So I think by the nature of Warlord, you can choose him as a Warlord.
Okay.
Doesn't he have to be an HQ?
The Prophet of Gork and Morcus says if Gazgul is your Warlord, he gains a +2 invulnerable save on any turn he calls the log.
He was just asking, like, if he was a Lord of War, if he gets stomp attacks, I guess. That's what he was asking.
Oh, yeah, first he was asking if he can be the Warlord, and then his second question was, since he is a Lord of War, does he get to stomp?
No, the Warlord doesn't have to be an HQ choice. It's got to be an independent character. I mean, there's like a whole progression of things. You can have, you don't even have to be an independent character. You can have a Scarab be your Warlord.
You can pick your apothecary and your command scout.
Yeah, you can have a vet sergeant be your Warlord.
So I think I found something here about the challenges.
Okay.
Let us have it.
So according to this, the chariot rules on page 87. A rider who is a character can accept or issue a challenge as normal, but cannot perform a glorious intervention. And so that leads me to believe that it's itself that would be, and not the vehicle.
It says the rider?
Just because it is the character. Well, it's a rider who is a character can accept or issue a challenge. So he accepts it. It can only go on him, as far as I can tell here. And it also says that whenever you're fighting against a chariot model, the attacker must decide whether to attack the rider or the chariot with each model involved in the combat. So it seems like if
or each model. There you go. That's whatever.
Right, with each model. So I'm thinking that that's how that works.
Good find. Good find.
I like it.
Which is good. It's a little bit more slow.
Carl says, "Mrs. WarGamesCon, yeah, we're sorry we couldn't hit that this time, but it's always a fun time. Those guys are really great, passionate about the tournaments."
And I wanted to, I'm sorry, I wanted to go back to Johnny real quick. He reposted the question, and I understand it a whole lot better now. His first question was, can Gaskell be the Warlord? And if so, if he can the Stompa, not can he Stomp attack, can he Stompa be the Warlord?
Stompa
it's a vehicle, so no. Yeah, well, I mean, there's what it is. Rob, can you find the page that they describe who you can choose as your Warlord? And specifically, vehicles cannot be chosen, if I remember right.
Yeah, correct. Sorry. I guess if you were playing Unbound and you had no characters in your army, because like if you're playing
Warlord's on 124,
obviously you're gonna have.
Okay.
And I just wanted to give a shout out, Johnny. Thank you for sticking with us. I will read your question correctly eventually.
So yeah, I think on that page 124, I believe it details like how you do the progression of what you choose a warlord, and I think like even the knight fact had to specifically address how you pick a warlord as a knight.
They give them their own precedent.
Yeah.
Oh man, someone read one of these questions. I can't read.
Okay, so our boy Wilsonia89 says he was wanting to know some ideas about a corn list only, including any for Forged World models like the Blood Slaughter. Again, we try to say like just check us out on our Facebook page.
Yeah, hit us in a message on Facebook, or you can email me, ulth@content with Arno's question.
You can text next level painting anytime you want.
Yeah, or text next level painting off the.
I'm serious about this. No one's ever texted me, but my number's on my website.
I got your number off your website.
Yeah, you text me today. So I guess that's unfair. Jews text me about some of this stuff.
Hey, what's up, Aaron's from checking in from Canada land.
We had someone from Ireland up in here, didn't we?
Oh, yeah. Logan Shoup asked, it's like not really a rules question, but what would we recommend to get started in the vast world of 40K novels? If you have not started reading the Horus Heresy series, then that is where you should start. Book 1, the first 3 books are very awesome, and then they get kind of hit or miss, and then for a little while they pick back up being awesome. The good news is that after the first 3 or probably I guess the first 5 books, they aren't linear anymore. So you can kind of go and jump around however you want. But those are great. If you want to start getting into the actual 40K universe, Gaunt's Ghost books are really good from what I understand. The Eisenhorn books are pretty good from what I understand. There's some Mechanicum books that are pretty good.
The Warriors of Baltimore was pretty solid.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one. All the Graham McNeil books are pretty good. Like Storm of Iron's really good. If you can find it. It's been hard to find for a while. That was my first novel I read, and, well, I play Iron Warriors now probably because of it.
Man.
So Stoner Steve just asked us about the Revener behind you, Kenny, in the background. Has it ever been used? The Reaver.
That word is R-E-V-E-R. I can't read. I know it's not Revenant.
That's what I said. Reaver. I think that's what I said.
I have a Revenant in the background of mine.
No, actually, the only person that I'm aware of who's played this Reaver over here is Rob Bear. He took it to Adepticon and played the Adepticon.
I did. It was a glorious battle. There was many Titans on the table.
It is all this Titan does is stand there looking like a pimp.
Chris Morgan has a question, and I think this is actually a good question. I actually talked with Rob about this on the phone last night. He says, "Do land raiders as dedicated transports for Death Company get objectives secured?"
So good.
They take on the battlefield role, which is troops. Those things don't have the rule that says they don't score. So I say yes, they become objective secured. I also think Death Company dreadnoughts are objective secured. and you unlock them, unlocking 2 by taking 10 Death Company, not such a bad thing. What do y'all think?
Oh my God! Yes, no, I'm
still trying to find all that.
I've toiled over books, over army lists that have objective secure land raiders in them. I'm like trying to find a way to throw Belial in my Dark Angels list and get a unit of Terminators in there so bad.
Yep.
Craig asks an interesting question about, are challenges made before initiative steps at Hammer? Yes, they are. They happen first, then initiative steps.
Johnny Watkins throwing out also that the Gotrek and Felix novels are good, and they're fantasy novels, but yeah, they are good.
Yeah, those are good too.
Oh, Johnny Watkins
saying the internet is bad, and it is. Chandler D's asking if the updates on mission 5 and 6, the people's missions, they are forthcoming. Literally, it's like the next thing that's this whole enterprise related that I'm working on. But I want the same forethought to go into them as the first ones did. So I'm trying to use mini games and just more as an immersion in the 7th as I can before we start putting them out there for the public opinion, because I want them to be good.
We are definitely trying to be.
Firefight.
There's a firefight up there.
There's a firefight right behind me. It's happening.
William's asking what we think of the Gaz's formations. I really haven't poured over them that much. My buddy does have Gaz's book already, though. He got that Warlord or War Boss edition, so I'm looking forward to kind of digging into them. But I have not read over them all yet. They look like there were some interesting things in there, though. But again, it all kind of depends on how they fit in with whatever you're spending as your main force.
Good call.
So sorry, that's kind of a non-answer, but I haven't really dug into it yet.
Saw that Christopher Morgan tried the Corbula Mephiston combo, said it was amazing. He lost the game because the Curse of Slaughter army spent the entire game running away as fast as possible from Mephiston.
Yeah,
that
fair.
happens every once in a while.
The unit that causes fear running from the Lord of Death.
Yeah, seriously, they can take this jaded victory if they want, but the Lord of Death knows you won.
Yeah, give me one more turn.
This game goes
asking also, do we think using the rules for the GW? I think we're saying using the rules from the GW terrain kits in tournaments.
I think you have to.
Is it good for tournament scene, or is it more for gaming with your buddies? Now, I don't know about like the stuff in the main rulebook, like for using things for the Basilica and if you happen to have one of those little Marine statues on your table. In a tournament, I don't think you should be bothering with it.
Do you want to see something interesting? I have all 3 of those buildings.
Points for them. If you've paid points for them, then yes.
I have all 3 of the buildings assembled to the GW specifications and the statue on my gaming table behind the 4th wall.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
Built to those.
Hey, if you want to play them in your friendly games, it's fine with me. But I think in a tournament,
just in case, I thought he meant the sheet.
You're breaking up.
Sorry, the latency thing. I'm sorry, I ain't trying to talk over anybody. It's just I thought he meant like the data sheets with like the forests and everything like that. Does he mean?
I think that's what he is talking about.
I feel like you kind of have to draw from those. You kind of have to draw from those though, because I've gone to a couple tournaments now where it's just. You got a bunch of force on the table still, and you got a bunch of things that kind of look like this, kind of look like that. I kind of feel like the only way to be accurate is to draw from those kits and try to figure out exactly how you're going to play certain pieces of terrain now.
I'm actually going to put them all up on my wall here in the gaming area, just so people have as a reference for when they want to play with them. But I'm still thinking that in a tournament, you should either have it defined or on a reference sheet. Or not many people go into the rule book every time somebody touches a piece of terrain.
Yeah, I don't think in the tournament scene we'll see it a lot. It's kind of like we didn't see mysterious terrain very much last edition. Now I know we didn't see a lot compared to what the edition had to offer, but I'm down for whatever.
Yeah,
so,
if it doesn't slow the game down enough to make it unplayable, then sure.
That's a great point. Like I think that should be more of a thought process behind a lot of things. Is does it slow the game down of referencing? Oh, what does this force do again? And we have to stop what we're doing. So I like the quick sheet reference. So John Marshall here says, does your wall not apply to other orc units and other combined arms units in the army?
I think so.
Does it say the army or the detachment?
Y'all go ahead and answer another question. I'll look this up.
I got this.
Gotcha.
Got
one coming up right now.
All right, here we go. From Sean Bailey. Let's start off with a fresh question. New Orc Codex, Force Organization chart. Is it optional to the rulebook chart or a replacement? Also, can one combined arms use the rulebook chart and another use the Orc Dex? Well, yet again, like what we talked about is that the Orc Force Organization chart it can definitely be used. But remember, its command roles are devoid of objective secure. So you can definitely have multiple combined arms attachments. One can be this new Force Organization chart from the Orc Codex. One can be another one all day, every day. But recognize that everything in that Super Orc, I got 3 HQs. I got this. It just doesn't score, man. It scores. Sorry, it scores. It just doesn't objective secure.
Okay, here's the WOG rule. Is it on the turn he does so, all friendly units made up entirely of models with the Here We Go special rule may charge in the assault phase even if they made a run move in the same turn. So when you call the WOG, all friendly models with the Here We Go rule. So that would be even models from other detachments.
Anybody with Here We Go.
Yeah, anybody with Here We Go.
Gotcha.
It's funny because this is obviously the subject of the evening. I got, Facing the Great Tide, Evan hitting me up on Facebook since he can't watch. He's like, hey, I got a question for you guys. For orcs, do you think their specified detachment is better or worse than the standard CAD? Which is literally what's the topic of the night.
Yeah,
and
thumbs down. He's in tune. He's picking up those signals.
He is. The wall is going through. And I just had to tell him, the consensus right now is that they're worse than standard CAD because of objective secure.
Patrick's asking if we know any Necron fluff novels, and I think the Ultramarines have that one where they wake up Nightbringer. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
It's called the Nightbringer.
It's called Nightbringer, yeah.
And I don't know if that's I don't know how much. I haven't read it, so I don't know how much Necron fluff is there. I would suggest going to Wikipedia, and there's your Necron. Find all the cool stuff there.
Do you remember that time we tried to change the fluff on Wikipedia?
Oh man.
Yeah, they changed it right back.
Yeah, we tried to inject some.
The Firebirds?
I don't know if we talked about that I think we actually cut that from an episode.
We
did we cut it from the podcast?
Yeah, we did. We actually had a part of our podcast where we were talking about the changing the battle cry of I think it was the Flame Eagles.
The Flame Eagles. So if you're not first, you're last.
Yeah, that was
that's what it was. And we changed it, and then 15 minutes later they fixed it.
And we referenced our podcast episode as the source.
Yeah, because they said you have to cite it. So we wrote it very detailed and cited the dates and everything. And it's so funny because those guys, that's the Lexi wiki or what was it?
I can't remember which one we did.
Oh, Lexicanum.
I don't remember. Don't do that. By the way, people, do not do this. Is not a call to action. It's absolute call to inaction. Do not do this.
Do not reference anything to do with this webcast episode.
I'm cool with y'all referencing this, but don't do anything that changes that because those guys do an amazing job of maintaining it.
Do anything we're saying right now. Yeah, I know Chandler was on here from Facing the Great Tide. I just want to shout him out real quick.
Oh, cool. Yeah, what's up, dude? Hey, I think I found someone that's dedicated transport conundrum.
Hit me with it.
All right, so on page 120, there's another little box about dedicated transports. It says sometimes unit's army list entry will include a transport option, allowing the vehicle to be selected together with the unit. These dedicated transports do not use up a slot on the Force Org chart, but for all other purposes count as having the same battlefield role and faction, as if any, as the unit they are bought for. For example, a Rhino bought for Space Marine Tactical Squad troops counts as a unit of troops, but one bought for Stern Guard counts as elites.
Yeah,
they're elites. Yeah. All right, so other vehicles may also have a transport capacity, but as they are chosen separately, they have a battlefield role and occupy a force chart slot of their own. So like a Land Raider is a heavy support, however you can put dudes in it. So the Land Raider is a scoring unit, heavy support, but the dudes inside might be troops. So technically the dudes inside are still, objective secured troops. But I don't know how that pertains to them scoring. Unless you reference page 80.
The language that what you just read, the only thing that you could be interpreted is that they're one unit was the first line that said they're purchased together.
Mm-hmm.
And then it went on to say, like, a Rhino is a unit of troops. The guys inside are a unit of troops. The Land Raider is a unit of heavy support. It went on to just completely define them as all their own units. I find it very difficult to argue against the, being able to use a vehicle and the guys inside to take 2 objectives. Like, it just seems like you can do it.
So then if you reference page 80 under embarking, if the players need to measure a range involving the embarked unit except for its shooting, this range is measured to or from the vehicle's hull, right? So if you need to measure, if you're within 3 inches of an objective, it's measured from the hull. So the troops inside, I guess, are objective secured, and they can measure it from the hull.
Absolutely. So 5 scouts and a heavy support Land Raider, the best thing on earth.
Forest Castle is asking if we think that a tricked out Wolf Lord is too many points, and I don't know if you're looking for someone or a group of people to talk you off the ledge of spending 1,000 points on a character, but you have come to the wrong place.
1,002 is the best.
Right. So no, his actual real question is, or should he take more Rune Priest? I think that we might even be back into the day to where 4 Wolf Lords on Thunderwolf mounts might make a comeback.
I would definitely agree with what you're saying, and I would say, yes, there are more points in Chapter Masters, and Chapter Masters are better for most things. That is a sad day.
You're just playing Space Wolves, though.
You're just playing Space Wolves.
That was the question.
Do your thing. Get that pimp in there, and take my advice. Throw the Stallion who mounts the world on bike in there too, so at least you have in run.
Yeah. So then you have to spend 1,000 points on character, which is fine.
Yeah.
There you go.
Like that's super friends. So, it's like 1,800 points.
John Marshall is asking us if we about the new gas supplement. He's basically telling us there's a green tide in there. So you can get 11 units treated as one. So he basically gets that. It's that old formation where it's 100 boys. And I think that's awesome. Like, I've been wanting to play that formation for a long time. 100 boys, fearless, with feel no pain.
Yeah, that's really solid.
That sounds like Typhus and 100.
That sounds exactly what I was thinking.
With better attack.
I love the Green Tide inherently, because remember that old data sheet from the first Apocalypse that came out?
Like 07, 08? I mentioned that. That has been wanting to play that since that came in. But no one's ever allowed formations. Well, now formations can't get away from them.
Yep. So Craig is asking me my opinion on the NIDS now with the new edition and the ability to do a lot of objective secured and master level 2 psychers. So Craig, I would say this. It's like, to be honest, our psychic abilities are not that good that I would want to have 18 dice in my power pool. That's just kind of maybe how I feel about it. I've played a lot of games in the psychic phase. It's kind of like I throw all my dice to try to get one ability. But I find now that with our flying MCs not needing to take a lot of grounding checks, and with how many objective secured units that we have, I feel like it's enough. And I would like to go on record saying that Hive Guard are no longer dead to me. They are fully back in life. They keep surprising me every game that I have. 2 squads of 2 just put a lot of work in.
That's pretty cool.
It's funny, I said that exact same thing at this tournament Atomic Empire we just came back from. My first round opponent, a guy named Justin, local guy, really nice. He ran all the Zonothropes and all the Turvagons, exactly like what was just mentioned. But he didn't run the Air Force. And I just basically paraphrased everything Juice just said, and he didn't believe me. And then we played in the first round, and like very casually and jokingly, we had a great game. And I was like, I'm about to show you. Finally, I'll give you a real live demonstration of why my opinion is right.
Yeah.
Because you don't get that very often. Like, everyone has an opinion. Nobody ever gets to go past that. It's like, well, we actually get to play it out. So let's find out what happens. And it was exactly that. He was very disappointed with the psychic phase because he had 1 billion Paradise to get Warp Blast off 3 times,
Yep.
And having me block it twice with, Wolftail Talisman.
That's nice.
Yeah, we don't have an invisibility. The best we can get is some fill no pains up, some onslaughts. I mean, it's just, nah.
Steve's asking if we think that Gaz being a Lord of War opens up to things like Logan becoming a Lord of War, Mephiston being a Lord of War, and whatnot. I think it definitely does open up that door.
Yeah, like Abaddon in the next codex, everything.
Yeah, Abaddon has to be.
Well, that would just be the ultimate bait to make us 100% accept Lords of War. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what they're doing right now.
There's got to be a certain degree of tact to that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind. Again, the thought that you can get basically a third HQ and detach, and he's no slouch. Like he
I would like to see
points or anything.
Yeah, absolutely. I would like to see more than one Lord of War, though. What if we can get? What if you do, like, imagine if like the Spaceman Codex came out, like Marnius Calgar is a Lord of War, Lysander is a Lord of War, But obviously, the Spaceman Codex came out a little bit before they needed this kind of push for the community.
Well, guys, we're about at the end of our hours. Anybody else got anything they want to talk about?
He is apparently the most legendary captain of all time.
Yeah.
No, I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew about that. We were.
Oh, the internet is hating us right now.
What?
Yeah, don't let this up so the internet chokes us out anymore. Thank y'all very much for joining us. I know it's been kind of a bear dealing with the latency tonight. This is going to be up on YouTube, so hopefully you can skip past some of if there's any difficult parts. I want to thank y'all very much for joining us. We had a bunch of people coming in live. Thank y'all for asking questions. Without y'all asking questions, would not be very enjoyable for us either. And check us out on iTunes. Please leave us some 5-star reviews if you think we deserve it for our podcast. Hit us up on Facebook with the Army List questions. Again, thank y'all. Juice, thanks for joining us and helping get some questions out there. Rob, thanks for hitting the books as always. Kenny, I don't know what you do here, but
thanks for looking good, Kenny.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. I really don't try.
Kidding, of course. Some awesome models. Kenny painted every single one of those models behind him.
Yeah.
Next level painting.
Actually, like I said, give me 2 minutes. So there's almost 1,000 infantry models behind me on all the shelves. It's like 938 infantry models and about 75 tanks total.
Can you hit us with a panorama going on? Can you adjust the camera at all?
I guess since I have this opportunity right here.
I'm going to make sure everybody sees you no matter what.
I got this. So for 2 minutes, there's an entire Tyranid army.
4,000 points of Tyranids.
Oh, yeah. Check out these amazing pimps. All the demons. Oh, wait. More demons. I was lying. There's even more.
I think there's 1 million flying MCs.
There's a whole Soul Drinkers Air Force over here. All the drop pods money can buy. Oh, what is it? What is this, Paul?
Oh, look at that.
Super Friends.
Super Friends action.
Here's some awesome stuff up here. Tri-Land Rated Dark Angels. And over here, just really quickly, is all the Deathcore Creed that exists.
Pretty much.
275 guardsmen, everything.
Everyone from the books.
Everybody's name from A through Z.
Guys, thank y'all very much. Y'all have a good night. See you next week.